Hey, Tom. So we've been seeing a trending topic regarding co-managed IT services, and it's new in the industry or newer in the industry. And I was curious if you could explain to our viewers and listeners what co-managed IT services is and why it's become so popular recently.
No, that's a great question, and it's something we don't talk enough about
Mhm.
because there is a certain segment of the market. Many companies go through and in fact, I know you were on a sales call the other day that this topic came up. They struggle with when do we need a full-time IT staff? How large do we need? When can we afford it? And things like that. And in some of my books, I've talked about, well, you need to budget for at minimum two full-time staff members and then double that budget for the tools and developing procedures and partnering with other vendors in order to put in place what a good outsourced managed security service provider or managed services provider can provide. So we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars every year on all of the tools that we use to protect and support our clients. So it that that is a lot of money, okay, that need it's not the personnel. It's you have to do it right and to realize that maximum return on investment, you you you're not going to get it unless you put tools in place as well. And some of these tools are very expensive. These remote monitoring and management tools, and it's remote whether you're in the same building or not. Okay,
Yeah.
on some of these tools, right? Detecting whether a hard drive is about to fail on a server or in the cloud server. It just those things are the same basically. And so, what I'd like to see is companies that are getting there and they're dipping their feet into it, and maybe they have a budget for and an opportunity. They found a qualified individual that fits their budget, and they can be their on staff IT. They're one guy or gal that can do it. And
Mhm.
what I like to see is if you've got the budget, but not for all the tools, then you buy that as the director or the conductor of your IT for your company. And you invest in their education and their experience to develop a full breadth of knowledge around your company vision, your organization, the various roles, and how IT plays a role in that. How does it work with marketing? How does it work with operations? How does it work with manufacturing if you're in that industry? Um, and then set aside a budget to outsource the components that particular person needs help with, is not
Mhm.
skilled in. If you have two or three people, you're going to have skill gaps.
Yeah.
Okay. Chances are they're not going to be a cybersecurity expert. That's one of them. And that's a
Mhm.
huge part of outsourcing or co-managing. And we see many companies that prefer to outsource the cybersecurity component. Even their IT people want to outsource that. And there's lots of very valid reasons for that. But for those of you that, it depends on what industry you're in. So you've got 20 people or 50 people or 200 people in your company, and you're on that cusp. Maybe you already have an IT director or somebody fulfilling that role, but you can't respond to all the help desk calls, or you're not monitoring your stuff proactively to prevent downtime. That's too much for one person in a 50 computer company to do everything right. It's too much work. You are the ones that really need to look at co-managed IT services and especially cybersecurity services. And then you can start picking and choosing a la carte what you need to start filling in to fill the gaps in skills, tools, and human resources and governance, policies and procedure gaps. And that's when you're really spending wisely, because in almost all cases, it's cheaper to outsource. And you usually get better quality as well.
No, that's exactly right. And in the very beginning, you mentioned something like from a company the big question is, when do I know I need to outsource, or when should I look at co-managed IT services?
I
And that's something that a lot of people struggle with, and that's the big question.
Yeah, here's another little secret, okay?
Yeah.
I think this is my humble opinion. If you're ready to make that hire, say I'm going to bring one person on to do IT. That's going to be their primary role. Now they may be part-time on something else, but they're going to have some sort of IT role. If you're ready to do that, then make sure you fill in the gaps on what they are capable of doing
Hmm.
and what really needs to be done. That's why we do IT infrastructure and cybersecurity gap analysis or assessments or whatever you want to call it. And you point out things, or we point out things that's critical for their business the way it sits right now, but set aside another part of the budget to begin outsourcing some of those components. If you're a 20-person company, one person, you're still not going to afford all the tools,
Hmm.
but that's about the threshold, I would say, where it becomes overwhelming. If you're anything under 20 people, uh, you need an all-in, services provider. Or if you're really small, maybe break fix is the way to go, where you just pay somebody hourly. You just understand that things are going to break and you're going to be down, among other problems with break fix. Uh, but uh, but especially for those of you that have reached that point, say, well, I can afford an IT guy or gal, and we do need to correlate and align our missions and our company objectives and our sales goals and all of these other different things with IT. We want to invest in IT. Well, by putting that first person in there with the understanding you're going to outsource gaps, okay, you're building up someone in your company that's going to be responsible for those gaps and filling in those gaps at a much lower rate and you're going to get there quicker.
Yes.
Your return on investment is going to be much quicker if you approach it from that angle. And that's the best advice I can give to you if you're in that situation. I
Oh,
hear it all. You hear it all the time, right?
oh my goodness. Yes.
Yeah,
Many, many
yeah.
calls.
Oh, yeah. We need our own IT staff. Well, can you afford to hire two and all the tools? Well, no, we don't need two. Oh, yes, you do. You got to have a backup.
Yes.
Even
Yes.
two is really pushing it. I mean,
Yes.
because somebody's going to be sick and somebody's going to be on vacation at the same time.
And
So
you
that's when
mentioned one.
co-managed stuff comes in really handy for that. And I'm not just talking about help desk, right? Just
Oh
the
yeah.
monitoring of servers may be critical to your business. Make sure they don't
Mhm.
go down. Proactively do that. Or other governance issues around, um, you know, upgrade cycles and, password complexity requirements and, you know, uh, intrusion detection and monitoring. All of those things are gaps in most companies, and co-manage is the way to do it.
And you mentioned gaps a few times in gap analysis, and really, if you have that IT person, but you may not know what your gaps are, or maybe you haven't had an assessment done to see what potential vulnerabilities that you have, and maybe that's something that you want, and maybe your IT director or IT person wants that done as well. That's something that we do where we work with the owner, the president, or that IT director, and we really dig into your current IT infrastructure, what security practices you have in place, those policies, procedures, and then we help you build out that list of what gaps you actually have, and then provide recommendations. Okay, this is what we believe would fill those gaps, and this is how. This is really what your IT person, your IT director needs, and then we help you make that happen. If that's something that
Yeah, yeah, just
interested in, and
gathering that intelligence is
yes,
valuable to your
very
company because
valuable.
you're going to have gaps. Now,
Yes,
everybody's got gaps. Now you get to see what needs to be prioritized. You don't have the right kind of cybersecurity. You need to fix that now. And then
yes,
and then you can look at all the other things and assign dollar values to it and start beefing up. Those of you that believe that technology investing is not an expense, it's an investment, that's the way to
exactly
go. And
right.
that's who I'm talking to. If
Yep.
you think of IT as an expense in your company, I'm not talking to you. Okay. IT has been for decades now. Personal computing has made IT, information technology, is an investment in almost every single company. So you need to make that mind shift for those of you that haven't done it yet. It needs to be an effective investment.
That's exactly right. If you have any questions or you're listening, you want that gap analysis or that assessment done, feel free to reach out. Of course, you can email, call, and if you have any questions or specific topics that you want us to talk about here soon, just let us know. We'll be happy to do it.